So members of the genus Xenesthis inhabit lowland rainforest types of areas and also some arid mountain ranges. It really depends on the species we're talking about. So for example, the Xenesthis intermedia from Venezuela inhabits more of a lowland type of rainforest as the Xenesthis species white. But in today's video, we're talking about Xenesthis species blue, and this one particularly is like living in different areas, mountainous regions, and there is just a much more arid climate to it. So I think the whole point of this video is to show you some of the video material and also some of the species and specimens I have here in my collection, and give you just a brief overview about the whole topic. So officially known to science, there are only 3 different species. There is the Xenesthis monstrosa, which no one really knows which species it is, because certainly the material is quite, not in a good condition and new material has not been gathered yet. But there is another, the Xenesthis intermedia from Venezuela, and also the Xenesthis imanis, which is also the type of the whole genus, which defines which members are exactly within the genus Xenesthis. As Xenesthis intermedia and also Xenesthis imanis are in the hobby, Xenesthis monstrosa is not. And as you know, there are several different Xenesthis species available in the hobby, which are not yet described. For example, the Xenesthis white, the Xenesthis species bright, and also the Xenesthis species megascopula, for example. So there are more undescribed and unknown species of Xenesthis that there are described ones. So certainly the whole genus Xenesthis is in a huge need of revision, and within the last 15 years a lot has been done, a lot of documentation work has been done. And just as of now, I know that we will not have to wait another 15 years until like the whole genus Xenesthis gets further and detailed analysis of all of its members. So just be a little patient there and wait maybe another couple of years, but then hopefully also this Xenesthis species blue is getting a real name and described to science. So if you enjoy this video, consider subscribing to us and also send this special video to one of your arachno enthusiast friends, in the hope that he will like it and then send it to another friend. That will spread the word that we have a lot of different videos regarding tarantulas in the wild, and it would certainly help us grow the channel and then put more videos out in this topic. So when you keep Xenesthis species blue, you should prefer to keep them at a drier rate than your Xenesthis white or your Xenesthis intermedia, probably more likely than your Xenesthis imanis. So Xenesthis species blue lives in different mountain regions around Colombia, and it's safe to say that it's not a tourist place, so it's not safe to go there. And as of we're speaking right now, this is the fresh molt and exuvia of one of my adult females Xenesthis species blue. And as you can see, they are really huge, or they can get quite huge. So it's a fragile molt, of course, but you can see that their chelicera are huge. So yeah, you don't really want to get bitten by this type of tarantula. Nevertheless, Xenesthis species blue differs greatly from other Xenesthis members, and it's not just because of the blue color. And that's also not the reason why it is my favorite member of the genus Xenesthis. So let's just have a look at one of the smaller specimens I have here, and just show you this one over here. It is a juvenile specimen of Xenesthis species blue. It's a captive bred one, and we're going to try and feed her, and maybe I can talk a little bit more about this species of Xenesthis. So let's just open the lid, and you can see they are really bolty and skittish. So this is something you have to put into consideration. These are not slow spiders, so if you keep them as pets, just make sure you have plenty of room and plenty of space to keep for them. This one is a box I use for all of my smaller tarantula slings. And let's just make sure that the camera on top here is also recording, so just a second. Anyway, so this will be a new angle for you guys, and let's just make sure that it is in focus somewhat. Xenesthis species blue, and I feed them more often the lateralis roach, the Turkestan roaches, or how you want to call them, and these are great feeders. And let's just see if she's hungry or not. That was the point of feeding them. They are always hungry. 99% of their time they're hungry, and you can feed them. So basically great for beginners, even though they're on the pricier side. But Xenesthis species blue also differs greatly from other members, not just by their coloration of the blue femurs they have, which I can show you later on a video we filmed and documented on the site where they are living in Colombia, but also on the carapace, and it has just a more robust look to it. And what you can also see is that the hairs on the abdomen, they are not fuzzy like in Imanis, for example, but they are straight, and it just looks different than the ones from Xenesthis imanis. So that basically is one of the Xenesthis I have in my collection. It is a smaller one, and they're very bolty and can be very fast, but they are not biting things. They are just using their urticating hairs a lot of the times when you disturb them. So just be aware of that. Let's just check out the second one I have. This is the second specimen I have, and same point to make here. They are extremely fast and extremely skittish, but they are great feeders. So it certainly is an recommended species for beginner or everyone who really fears that your tarantula is not eating well. These guys you can feed like all the time, and just make sure that you do not overfeed them. So Turkestan roach ready to go. Let's see. Yeah, as I mentioned, they're always hungry. You can also see here maybe that they have this urticating hair patch, which is not distinct from the rest of the abdomen. But what is more interesting is the fact that they have this scopula on their metatarsus 4, which is like prolaterally surfaced, so it's on both sides of the leg and on both sides of the metatarsus. So this is something which differs not from Xenesthis imanis. They're in the same group as Xenesthis imanis, but it differs, for example, from Xenesthis species white or Xenesthis intermedia, which do not possess these prolateral surfaced scopula on the metatarsus 4. So that's it on the scientific side. I think, yeah, we just cover more of the in-depth tour of the wild. So let's just see how they behave in the wild and how the nature just looks like. So another striking feature, of course, next to the robust build of this very Xenesthis species blue, is the fact that they have an extremely shiny carapace, which just resembles, yeah, like the sun, the picture of a sun. And if you remember the documentary from Andrew Smith of the genus Brachypelma, more precise on the species Brachypelma albiceps, it certainly comes to my mind, at least, that they would have gotten the same name when they were living in the same region within Mexico. So if you don't know Andrew Smith's work, go over to his website, andrewlovestarantulas.com, and get the special DVD box of the director's cut of the Brachypelma documentary. They have spent several weeks down in Mexico looking for Brachypelma and also Brachypelma albiceps, and yeah, it just looks extremely like a sun-lit tarantula, as this Xenesthis species blue, or just generally the whole genus Xenesthis does. So if you're interested about tarantulas all around the globe, on how they live in nature, and also maybe how you can keep for them as pet tarantula, consider watching our other videos. We have videos from Poecilotheria species, Asian arboreals, but also Asian or fossorial species like the Choromyognemis hogai, or other ground-dwelling tarantulas, just as the classic Gramostela rosea. We have them all, and we try to put out new videos as often as possible. Make sure you spread the word, and also leave a comment down below. It would help us a lot to grow this whole channel and project. So Xenesthis species blue inhabits self-dug or small rodent burrows underneath massive rocks, which makes it extremely hard to take pictures of the specimen at night and also during daytime, because Xenesthis are very sensitive to light during the night. So when you shine your flashlight too bright or too fast across the rock gathering, the tarantula will hide quickly and you can't really see them after that. So it was a trip with friends. We focused on having a good time in Colombia and take pictures of as many tarantulas as possible. So the professional videotaping side was not really present, so hopefully we can do it next time. But you can see these piles of rocks everywhere. It makes it especially enjoyable for these Xenesthis, and if you keep them back at your place, maybe make sure you can sort of imitate that style as I do within my enclosures. I keep my adult female Xenesthis in 40 by 40 by 40 centimeter tanks. This is 15.7 inches on each side of the tank, so they're quite big tanks. But on the pro side, you can fill them up with a lot of substrate and give them plenty of room to burrow in. So I try to imitate some of the structures I've seen there in Colombia, and maybe this video footage helps you guys also to decorate your enclosure more on the naturalistic look of it. On the temperature side, I keep my Xenesthis a little bit warmer, especially the Xenesthis species blue, but make sure you have the heat outside of its burrow. So I try to heat the front side of the tank and not the back side, so the spider itself always has the chance to go back into the burrow and or is in a more cooler place. So the burrow itself has a temperature around 22 to 23 degrees Celsius, but on the outside it certainly could be or can be around 25 to almost 27 here in summer, and it does not really harm the spider. I think it's especially important when you try breeding them, so they have somewhat of a place where they can put them egg sacs on for certain periods of time to make sure the eggs within the egg sac get the decent amount of heat to like evolve the whole spiderlings inside. So I think that's it, guys. We've showed you how to keep for adult female Xenesthis, how my enclosure looks like, and of course we've also showed you some of the video material we got while filming them on site in Colombia itself, in this mountainous arid region of Colombia. So just keep in mind, it's not a safe place to go there. So you have seen how I keep my Xenesthis species at home, the smaller ones on how to feed them, and also the bigger ones which I keep in these huge enclosures back there. So another topic was on how they live in the wild. I hope you got a good overview on them, and especially when you try and breed them in the future, just consider giving them maybe a little bit more heat. More on the location will remain secret. So I really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs it up and comment something, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the week, and hopefully see you guys soon in the next video. Thanks for watching and see you guys soon.